And I'm not too sure why anyone in Victoria is surprised at the headlines today in the Herald Sun suggesting the most left-leaning state in Australia, led by Premier Jacinta Allan, is going down the path of creating its own voice to Parliament for Indigenous Victorians. Now, the Victorian Labor government campaigned heavily to try and get the original voice referendum across the line back in October 2023. But like their federal counterparts, they failed with a resounding no vote. Despite this, the Victorian government has established what they call a First Peoples Assembly. Now, listen to the numbers here. It's made up of 33 members, taxpayer funded and elected every 3 years. Each member of this racially selected assembly is paid, according to the Herald Sun today, almost $100,000 a year in salary. 33 of them, all on 100 grand. And on top of that expense, this mob oversees something called the Self-Determination Fund. That was set up in 2022 with, wait for it, $65 million of Victorian taxpayers' money. And remember, Victoria's broke to bankroll what's called treaty negotiations. A treaty negotiation, by the way, that the state government refuses to tell the people of Victoria what is actually in the treaty. I mean, Daniel Andrews, the widely despised ex-premier, he set this all up back in 2018. This assembly already uses state parliament to meet, and it's expected this assembly will become a permanent body protected by legislation. Now, this is all happening under the noses of a majority of voters in Victoria who voted no to the voice referendum. But they'll get one whether they like it or not. And what will it do? Well, that's the really frightening thing here. If legislated, and Labor have the numbers, it will advise on the impact of laws and policy affecting all Victorians, but just Indigenous ones. It will work across issues such as law and order, health, education, even child protection, advising the government on how these things should or would impact that one group, Indigenous Victorians. A voice, in other words, for one group and not anyone else. Should all Australians that voted no in 2023 be worried about this? Well, you bet you should. If one Labor government can do it, what's to stop other Labor governments doing the same thing? Indeed, South Australia's going down the track already. Queensland under Labor, when they were in power, were looking at the same sort of options. Now, let me give you a small example of the tone as this assembly pushes harder and harder for a formal treaty, and we all know what that means, financial reparation. Back in June this year, a bloke called Travis Lovett arrived at State Parliament in Melbourne after staging a protest walk from Portland in Western Victoria, right over near the South Australian border. Here's just one part of a speech that he made when he arrived at Spring Street in Melbourne at Parliament House. Travis Lovett said, quote, "We moved from massacre sites hidden beneath the paddocks and plaques to bus stops where our children waited on school uniforms stitched with the legacy of exclusion." He carried on, Lovett did. He said, "We crossed bridges over rivers that once ran red and followed footpaths through towns where our people were once forbidden to linger after sunset." That's Travis Lovett. His event was called the Walk for Truth, and he urged Victorians to confront the state's history and commit to a just future. I think we can all see where this is headed.